Joining me is the newsmaker of today, Milind Deora. No longer a congressman, but today a Shiv Sainik, Milind Deora, joining me live on the Newshour. Thank you, Milind Deora. And 2004, I think, was the first time you walked into Lok Sabha. And we all met you at that time, we as young reporters and you as the first time parliamentarian. Rahul Gandhi, Milind Deora, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Jiten Prasad, Sachin Pilot. I think that was the group that you had. Today, I think most of you, other than Sachin Pilot, are out of the Congress. Why is that happening, Milind?
Firstly, thank you for having me on your show, and I'm glad to be able to finally speak to you without being reprimanded for doing so. Secondly, you know, Navika, it's obviously a very, very emotional day. In many ways, I still find it hard to get over the fact that I have resigned from a party that my family had helped build and helped sustain for the last 55 years. My father joined this party in 1968 as a young man who had studied had gone as an exchange student to the United States, had American parents who he lived with, managed to get a scholarship to study at Syracuse University in New York, and came back and was motivated by Indiraji's politics, and became a municipal corporator from Mumbai at the age of in the year 68, and went on to become Mumbai's youngest mayor in the year 1976. And truth be told, when I entered politics in 2004, of course, the Congress was a very different party in 2004 than when it was in 1968. But the change that has happened in the party from 2004 to 2024 has been momentous, to say the least, in many ways. The party is a very different party organizationally. It's a very different party ideologically. The party stands on issues in 1947 were different from the fundamentally different from the party's stand on issues in 2024. And I don't know why some of my colleagues felt compelled to leave, but what I can say is that for the last 10 years, during the Congress's most challenging decade, its most challenging decade, when the party fell to 44 seats in 2014 to 50 plus seats in 2019 out of a 545 member Lok Sabha. Even then I didn't leave the Congress. I stayed loyal to the Congress. I did whatever was asked of me. I performed my duty willingly, sincerely. When I organized Rahul Gandhi's programs to the United States and overseas in 2018, before the last Lok Sabha election, people came to me and said that this was a fundamental change in the way he was being perceived. When I was appointed president of the Mumbai Congress, literally on the eve of the Lok Sabha elections last time, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before, and then I was asked to resign, although I had no role to play in the party's success or defeat. I willingly resigned from the post and accepted accountability. And I felt, and I always believed, that if I can accept accountability, even though I had no role to play in the party's loss or defeat, I have every right to demand accountability from the party and from the leadership. And there are many issues that have happened, but I think that fundamentally what I believe is the Congress of 2004, when I joined, almost seems unrecognizable to me 20 years later. And my politics is always constructive, it's development oriented, it's about getting things done, it's about raising my voice for the people of Mumbai, cutting across all communities, all economic strata, bringing investments to Mumbai, Maharashtra, focusing on a constructive agenda for India. Unfortunately, my party, my erstwhile party, the scope and the space for constructive criticism, for constructive debate has shrunk tremendously in the last 20 years that I've been in the party, and therefore I was compelled to take this very hard decision.
Why do you think the space for debate and constructive debate has shrunk. Who's responsible for that space shrinking? Is it because Mrs. Sonia Gandhi is no longer hands-on? Is Rahul Gandhi failing to do so? Why do you say this? Because you were a colleague of Rahul Gandhi, same age, same time entry. Could you not speak with him directly?
No, look, these are things which now I don't want to get into an analysis of what went wrong with my relationship with the Congress. I've moved on and that's that. I haven't said anything, made a personal attack against anybody. But the truth is that I think this is something which the country has seen. It's not, you don't have to take my word for it. And these things, one leader leaves, one young promising leader leaves, you can call it an aberration. When a series of leaders leave, and not in one time but spread out year after year, there clearly is something very wrong in the system. And that's, I think that to me, what I think where it stems from is the fact that this young group of people who were promising, who were articulate, who were bright, who had a positive opinion about the country, wanted to indulge in constructive politics, I think we suddenly found a space that has shrunk for that kind of politics. And if you were criticizing the Prime Minister, if you were opposing anything the Prime Minister said, even if it had merit, you were rewarded. If you were indulging in sycophancy, you were rewarded. If you were indulging in constructive criticism, to be honest, that kind of remanded, you would be punished. And that seemed to be the sort of the culture. Every organization has a culture, every political organization, every business organization. Times Now has a different culture from its competitors. And I think the culture in our organization is what I find unrecognizable today. The culture that we should work across the aisle with people from the other side to get something done for the country. A trait which my father taught me not just with his words but with his actions. When the insurance bill was being passed, which allowed private sector in the insurance sector in 2000, a fundamental law, economic reform which Dr. Manmohan Singh, my late father, Milind Deora, wanted to implement for the sake of the common person in the country who was uninsured and had no access to insurance. At that time, my father was given the permission, the freedom by the leadership at the time to work with Vajpayeeji's government and get this done for the sake of the country, in work in a bipartisan way. When I remember Mr. Jaitley pushed through as finance minister the GST legislation, he worked cutting across party lines and got this done, which benefited the country. There are many instances, not just of my father, but even in my own political career as a parliamentarian, where I've been able to do some of those things, maybe at a smaller scale through parliamentary committees, through informal forums. When, for example, the Navi Mumbai airport was, there was a major problem with environmental and other clearances, I created a multi-party group of MPs cutting across all parties, that time the 4 main parties in Maharashtra. And we all came together, about 11 or 12 of us, and we met the Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and pleaded with him that why this is something which is bipartisan, it's for the development of the entire region. That space has shrunk in the Congress party, unfortunately, today. If you are seen as someone who is going out to do something constructive, you're cutting across the aisle, you're working with other groups, then there's a serious problem. If you're talking about the economic reforms that the Congress ushered 30 years ago, which have benefited the common person of India, you're considered you're punished in the party. If you attack industrialists, you're rewarded. If you offer constructive suggestions that are good for the country, you welcome an initiative that the Prime Minister has propagated or implemented, you are punished. If you criticize it blindly, you are rewarded. That is something which unfortunately is not the politics I believe in, and that's why I thought for 10 long years I sacrificed my career during the best, most productive years of my life. From the age of 37 to 47 today, I stayed loyal to the Congress with no power, just with the belief that the Congress will improve. The Congress will enable people like me who want to do something constructive for this country. But unfortunately, I didn't see that changing at all. In fact, I correct myself. I saw that changing only for the worse, not for the better. And eventually I felt I have to go out creatively for the people of Mumbai, for my followers, for my well-wishers, for the people of Maharashtra, for the people of India. And That to me is my at the core of my political ideology. If you don't have a platform, you don't have the ability to work for the people, then that platform is of no use to the public at large. If that platform is only designed to criticize, abuse, make personal attacks, then there's no value in that platform. So this was, as I said, a very hard decision, a very difficult decision, but a decision which I believe I have had to make for myself, for my people, for the ideas that I believe in.
Milind, what you say, and we all remember your father, Milind Deora. I remember in our days in Parliament, most parliamentarians across the aisle used to call him uncle. Whatever happened, everybody was talking to each other. Of course, those days no longer exist in Parliament. People don't even go for the inauguration of the new Parliament when it is created, a historic moment. But what is that one thing that finally tipped the scales as far as you are concerned? Because it is Rahul Gandhi who's often come out and said that there is no democracy. Democracy is in danger in this country, not because of him, but because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's the one who said that the BJP is the intolerant party. Narendra Modi is the intolerant man running virtually a dictatorship. And you're saying that there is no space for debate. Isn't this a very conflicting view that we are getting from somebody like you who's been an insider for so long?
Well, look, in Congress can say that there's democracy in the Congress, but the truth is if you speak your mind, and if that speaking of mind is not conducive with the leader's interest, you automatically get punished, you automatically get sidelined. Not for a month, not for a week, not for 2 months, but for years at a time. I've experienced that, I've dealt with that. It's been extremely painful for me. It's been extremely painful for my family, not once, several times, just for giving a constructive suggestion, for welcoming an initiative of the Prime Minister. And these theories, for example, of, blaming someone for your own failures, blaming the Prime Minister that there's no democracy, blaming the EVM for your defeats. These are simply excuses for your own failures. Today, when I said earlier to you that Congress is lost, what I mean by that is very simply, if you look at what is happening today in the opposition space, you look at the I.N.D.I.A alliance that's taking shape, look at the kind of partners that Congress is dealing with. Frankly, it doesn't shock me, it just baffles my mind, because if you asked me, would the Congress party and Shiv Sena ever come together? Two parties which were poles apart, two parties which had hatred for each other, a lack of respect for each other. Even today I know what the Congress party feels about the UBT faction of the Shiv Sena. I know exactly how they feel about them. I know a partner. And the Congress is going out and trying to have a seat sharing alliance with them. UBT faction is talking about ideology. They're both talking about democracy being under threat. All of these things, unfortunately, are just excuses. If, for example, say UBT also says in Marathi, they say Narendra Modi ji Hukum Shah hai, means he's a dictator. If he's a dictator, according to them, why did they support him in 2014? Why did they support his candidature for Prime Minister in 2019? So this kind of hypocrisy of blaming the EVM machine, blaming the Prime Minister, blaming tomorrow the Indian voter, blaming North India, blaming South India, blaming this community, blaming that community, but not willing to accept accountability for where the party is headed. This, unfortunately, is a classic trait of certain I.N.D.I.A partners. And these things pain congressmen, I can tell you, not just me. They pain loyal congressmen and women who believe that the party has lost its way. You have an ideological alliance where you have similarities of views. You need to do seat sharing adjustments. People understand that. People are willing to concede. People are willing to give space for a larger cause. Today I know what the Congress party thinks about the UBT faction. I know that they know that you cannot trust them as a long-term partner. I know, frankly, what the UBT faction feels about the Congress party and what they think about their ideology on certain issues. So, to me, Navika, what was the sort of the final nail in the coffin is politics of pure opportunism. Number one. Number two, politics of negativity. Politics of simply opposing for the sake of opposing. In 10 years, it pains me that there has not been one, I cannot think of one constructive suggestion from the Congress party in 10 years. And this was something, by the way, I advocated for many a times, publicly, privately, that we must oppose, we must become a stronger opposition for the sake of the country. The country wants a strong opposition. But to become a stronger opposition, we must be willing to make constructive suggestions. If the Prime Minister says, I want to manufacture in India, make in India, what is the point of criticizing it and saying it will never work? We should say, how can we make it work? What are suggestions we should give to the government to make it work? That's the role of a constructive opposition. Yes, I understand politics, opposition has to make noises, sometimes oppose many a times for the sake of that. That's part of politics. That happens in all parties and in all democracies around the world. But you have to at least have a healthy mix of making constructive suggestions. If you don't do that, that means you are a party which is bankrupt of ideas. And that is what pained me, that a party which ushered in economic reforms 30 years ago, 32 years ago to be precise,
when you speak,
is today the sole objective of that party is to abuse businessmen, industrialists who have come out of that, who have been born from those economic reforms.
But Milind, when you speak of ideology, your critics are going to turn around and say that very rich of you, Milind Deora, you are going and joining the Shiv Sena's Shinde faction. Where is any commonality of ideology between what you followed for the last 20 years and what the Shiv Sena stands for today? How are you going to respond to them? Because you, in your earlier statements, have called the Shiv Sena an extremely communal party. Today, you are a Shiv Sainik. How does that sit?
Well, firstly, let me answer that question. I think the Shiv Sena, firstly, under Eknath Shinde, is fundamentally different from the Shiv Sena of his predecessor. There is a fundamental difference, and I can sit down with you separately and have a long discussion about how it's different. How they begin their speech, the kind of people today who are welcomed in the party with me, the communities they represent, the ideology that they have for the city of Mumbai, the people they represent in the city of Mumbai. There are fundamental differences in the ideology. And so for me, Navika, my ideology, and this is something which is very critical to make very clear, ideology has to be, and loyalty has to be first to your city, to your constituents, to your state, and to the people of your country. Party has to come second. And today I say this, I'm in a new party, but that will remain my ideology even here. The people of Mumbai, the people of Maharashtra, the people of India will come before party. That has always been my ideology. And when the ideology is reversed, where you have to be loyal to only the party, and even if it comes at the cost of being loyal to the people of India, to the people of Maharashtra, to the people of Mumbai, then I'm sorry, I cannot accept that ideology. So there are two fundamental differences, number one, between Eknath Shindeji's Shiv Sena and the Shiv Sena of his predecessor. Number two, as I said, he has given me the freedom to say, I want you to work for Mumbai. I want you to use this as a platform to work for Maharashtra. I want you to use this as a platform to work to strengthen the Prime Minister's hands for the people of India. That is a platform which I've been wanting for the last 10 years. And that is the core of my ideology. And you spoke about my father, my late father. That is the core of his ideology. His ideology put the people of the nation before the party. And unfortunately, that's another area where the Congress has lost its way. The Congress encouraged that earlier. The Congress encouraged people like my father, it encouraged people like me to put nation before the party. Unfortunately, the way the party is moving today, it only allows you and it disallows you from putting nation and people before the party. And that is something which is unacceptable to me.
Why did you choose today to exit from the Congress party? the day when Rahul Gandhi launched part 2 of his Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra from Manipur. Many congressmen have come out, and you must have seen the comments, not very charitable, about the timing of your exit. They also say that probably this is a conspiracy hatched by the Prime Minister because he's nervous of what the Congress might end up doing at the end of this Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra.
Well, I know the rule book of the Congress party, so I know that everything that happens against the Congress party, you blame it on the Prime Minister. That's the rule book. So I would take that with a pinch of salt. But to be very honest with you, there was no plan to leave the Congress and join another party on the day that Rahul Gandhi is embarking on this yatra. For the Congress party who may not be aware, and at least the people in Maharashtra should be, tomorrow is a day called Makar Sankranti, which is a very holy, auspicious day, especially in Maharashtra. And it's a matter of time, if the Congress does not introspect and the Congress does not change its face, that they will be out too.
Milind, you earlier said that you can now speak with me without getting a call from your top bosses in the party. Does it really happen? Do they really take this so personally that if you speak to a particular journalist, they'd actually think that they'll call you and tell you कि ऐसा मत करो, don't speak to X, Y, Z? Does it really happen?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it has happened. Yes, it has happened in the past. And as you know, the party has, boycotts channels and anchors for a long time. So the party does those things. But again, I would not want to comment now on the past and what the Congress did wrong. But yes, those things would happen. They still do happen. There are many people, Navika, I'm sure, who you know, you know people personally who are in the Congress party who would talk to you informally, perhaps, but would not be able to give you an interview formally. So that's why I said when people talk of democracies, when we talk of democratic organizations, these are examples of how democratic you are. In the United States, for instance, if a candidate of running for presidential elections, say Donald Trump, he accuses the media of all kinds of things. He thinks the media is being unfair to him. But does he ever bar the media from taking his interview? He talks to them. He talks to everyone. So these are all, in my opinion, narratives, spins, excuses for a lack of, for failures on their own part. You blame the Prime Minister for, call him a dictator, say that India is undemocratic. But yet the fact that you can call him a dictator, how can you call him a dictator if there's a dictatorship? If there was truly a dictatorship and you call the Prime Minister a dictatorship, you would be hung. So it's absolutely contradictory, and I think the public sees through this.
I also want to ask you today, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was not part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and there's a lot of speculation that things are not good between Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, as speculated by the BJP itself on social media. Do you really think that's true? Why was she not there? Any guesses? Any information? Because till 12 hours ago, you were part of the party, and I know it for a fact that you knew the family and the party very deeply. So, Milind, let's just stop being extremely formal at this point. At least tell us what the inside story is.
No, I'll tell you the inside story. My own information on the inside story, and from what I've seen, is that both brother and sister get along well. And it would be wrong for me to lie on national television and tell you something which is contradictory to that. Number one. Number two, even if there was a problem, Navika, as I said, my politics is very different. My politics is not personal. My politics, I believe that regardless of their relationship, which by the way is a good relationship, this should not be a national issue. This should not be affecting how the voter judges the Congress party. And this would not have been something which propelled me to have taken this decision. And I think we have to all elevate politics to a level where it's our duty to elevate politics to a level where we transcend, as I said, personal issues. I said that for me, politics is not PAIN, which is personal attacks. And so I think we have to transcend that kind of politics. If we have to revisit the days where you had people cutting across the aisle, working together, then we have to transcend that kind of politics. And I think that the Congress party should start by doing that. The Congress party should stop opposing everything that the Prime Minister does and says and work constructively as an opposition. I genuinely believe that the Congress party, and I say this as an Indian, not as someone who may have had a problem in the past and who as of yesterday was in the Congress party, I say this as an Indian, that Indians also want, even those who support the Prime Minister, and I'm sure even leaders of the BJP, want a constructive opposition, parties to behave like a constructive opposition. Disrupting parliament, continuously criticizing, opposing for the sake of opposing. Do it during elections. People understand that 10 consecutive years of obstruction, of opposition, in my opinion, is extremely negative, and ultimately voters do not reward that kind of politics. In fact, they punish it.
Milind, I want to ask you, the fact that the Uddhav faction of the Shiv Sena, they wanted the South Mumbai seat, the fact that your party did not back you probably enough to retain that seat, the fact that Sanjay Nirupam, who holds virtually no other position in the party but has often had run-ins with you, he's also called you Nikama. Were these some of these issues the reason that you finally decided to call it a day? And if you waited for 10 years, some would say, बहुत देर कर दी हुजूर आते आते.
Look, I would say that the seat sharing is a very small thing. Whether I get a seat to fight, don't get a seat to fight, those are not issues. The main concern, Navika, to a Congress person and to the workers, especially in a state like Maharashtra, is we did an alliance with Shiv Sena UBT in 2019. At that time, it was a post-poll alliance. I know what the Congress leadership at the time thought about the alliance. I won't say it right now. I know what they thought, exactly what they thought about the alliance. I know why they did the alliance and why they agreed to the alliance. Why Uddhav Thackeray ji decided to do it is his problem. But that alliance, workers were unhappy, workers are upset that two parties that don't share the same ideologies came together. And the Shiv Sena UBT of 2019 is very different from the Shiv Sena UBT of 2024. UBT today has lost most of its MPs. It's lost most of its MLAs. It's lost its party name. It's lost its symbol. Despite that, a senior leader of theirs, a spokesperson of theirs, just a few weeks ago, is telling the Congress party that in the negotiations, they should begin negotiating with UBT in Maharashtra from 0 seats, effectively saying that Congress should start from 0 seats. Not one Congress leader in Maharashtra, in Delhi, made a statement, countered that statement, said that who are you to talk about your party? Look where your party is today. And that is something which has caused great distress, great confusion among the cadre. And these are things which led to me having to take a final call. So, sometimes, some have left and joined other parties, some have joined the private sector, but I have chosen to be in politics because I still believe politics is the best medium to serve the people. And I believe that this party that I've joined today, I've known Mr. Shinde for a long time. This party is a very unique party. It's a very different party. He's a man, I can tell you today, I've never seen Varsha Bungalow, which is the Chief Minister's official residence in Malabar Hill. I've never seen that bungalow buzzing with activity the way it was today. I've never seen a more accessible Chief Minister, a more hardworking Chief Minister. And these are things I can assure you in time that the public will notice and the public will reward. And he brought me in to help him implement his vision for Mumbai. He brought me in to help him clean up the municipality. Mind you, Navika, for people, for journalists in Delhi who don't know or may not be aware, the Mumbai municipality, the BMC, is India's richest municipality. It's one of Asia's richest municipalities. It has been one of the most corrupt municipalities in the country, maybe in Asia. Every Mumbaikar knows this. the first time that a chief minister has said, I want to make Mumbai's roads pothole free. These are initiatives which should have happened a long time ago. These are initiatives which the mayor of Mumbai should have implemented, the chief ministers should have implemented a long time ago. So I think this government in the state has a very unique vision for the city, and I want to help them better that vision.
Well, so let me just get into a rapid fire with you. Did you try and meet Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge before you finally decided to call it quits? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you meet them?
Some of them, I couldn't meet the others.
You met Mallikarjun Kharge but couldn't get to the Gandhis? Is that what you're saying?
Some understood the gravity of the situation, others didn't. Some met me, others didn't.
And
I thought this was a rapid fire round.
And so it's the next question. The next question is, did you get to speak to Sonia Gandhi given the relationship between your family and hers?
I tried, but I was unable to.
There was an earlier occasion when you did want to leave, but she dissuaded you. True or false?
Well, I wouldn't say I wanted to leave. There was a time and join another party. There was these issues, the sort of surround sound around why I've taken this decision.
No, but is it true or not?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't know if there are personal differences. There might be policy differences. But as I said, I think it's an irrelevant question to me. What is happening in Karnataka to me is an irrelevant question. Right now, my focus is how do I serve the people of Mumbai better? How do I serve the people of Maharashtra better? And how do I work in a platform where I can work constructively?
Do you think Sachin Pilot will last in the Congress as much longer than the situation today? Because you're the last one of the young Turks to leave, other than him.
I wish him my best.
Do you think the Congress party's rejection of the invitation to attend the Pran Pratishtha is actually going to affect its poll prospects in the elections around the corner?
I wouldn't, more than whether it will affect their poll prospects, it was a wrong decision to not accept that invitation. I would have gladly gone, and it would have been an honor and pleasure for me to have gone.
What next for Milind Deora? Minister in Maharashtra, or are you looking towards a Lok Sabha seat and working in the parliament?
Well, hopefully I'll be, to me, what I do where I am is less relevant, Navika, than whether I have the ability and I'm empowered to serve the people of Mumbai and to work for the betterment of India, and whether I'm encouraged to be in a constructive environment. That is what is of primary importance to me, and I believe that this system will allow me to do that.
I believe 20 leaders of traditional markets.
Come back again. I've survived without post or power for 10 years. Power and post is not the reason I made this decision. I made this decision because I want to work constructively. That is why I made this decision. I can survive for another 10 years without power and post. I did this because I believe in Eknath Shindeji's leadership. I believe in the Prime Minister's leadership and vision for the country, and I want to contribute to strengthening the hands.
Okay, my last question to you, Milind. Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi. What are the differences?
Well, let me just say this. Politically, the differences are before the people of India. The people of India have already voted in 2014. They voted in 2019. And I'm sure in 2024, they will cast their votes in favor of the Prime Minister's leadership.
was there an element of an invitation for you from Modi?
No, I have not spoken to him. And as I said, I'm part of the NDA fold now, Navika. So I'm part of the same team. And I look forward to meeting the Honorable Prime Minister, to working under his leadership through Eknath Shindeji's Shiv Sena, as I said, for the betterment of Mumbai, Maharashtra and India. I'm really looking forward to that. I believe very strongly in his leadership. I believe very strongly in his vision. And I think he has brought great success to India in the last 10 years. He's done some things which are unimaginable for this country. And I would appeal to the opposition as on a parting note, that you may have a problem with the Prime Minister from a political point of view, but when there is something good happening, support that. Perhaps the people will reward you for it.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, and all the very best to you, Milind. We've been together in the corridors of Parliament for far too long. Very, very good wishes coming from all our viewers and from us at times now for new beginnings, because as you said, Sankranti is the day for new beginnings, and we do wish you all the very best with your new move.
Thank you so much, Navika. I look forward to speaking to you again more often.
Yeah, and without being boycotted yourself. Thank you very much, Milind, for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.